Having sold over 30 million copies worldwide and even being translated into over 30 different languages, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of the biggest and best-selling books of all time. And whether it was securing my job as an analyst with Johns Hopkins University or earning a 4.0 while working 30 hours per week as a full-time graduate student, I can say that my social skills were hands down one of the biggest determining factors in allowing me to do it all. So if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah, and as a recent master's graduate, data analyst, and a part-time Sunday school teacher, I make faith-based and holistic living content here on YouTube. So without further ado, let's get into our video for today. And so today I'm going to share with you 3 different social skill sets that I used to become a 4.0 student. And this very first one comes from Sara Blakely, who's the inventor of Spanx. Spanx is worth over $1.2 billion today and has a presence in over 50. And so Sara Blakely used to come home from school and her dad would ask her this one very simple question, which is, did you fail at something today? And so even though this is very simple, this question gauges at something very deeper, and that is, did you try at something today? And so this connects to my first tip, which is raise your hand and ask all of the dumb questions that you think is dumb, which is probably not dumb. And so what this gets at is this idea of shame and this fact that we care about what people think about us. We care about what our classmates think about us. We care about, what the professor thinks about us. So Sara Blakely, even in the rise of her company, she was a door-to-door salesman. So this meant that she went around town walking on people's doors trying to sell them products. And oftentimes she was authentically herself, but oftentimes this also meant that she got loads of rejection. And so what this really comes down to is our fear of failure and our shame over failure and caring about what other people think. My second tip for us today comes from this famous case called Henry Ford and the Chicago lawyer. And so in this scenario, there's this Chicago lawyer that walks up to this man named Henry Ford. And if you don't know him, he was a billionaire in the 1920s and one of the richest men in the world. He is credited with, inventing, he's pretty much the, CEO of Ford, and credited with bringing automobiles into the common household. And so he was a very, very influential man at this time in the 1920s. So the Chicago lawyer walks up to Ford and he says, I'm gonna ask Ford these basic questions that everyone should know to prove that this man isn't as smart as he is. And in a sense, by doing this, he was sort of also proving his own intelligence as well. So he proceeds to ask Ford these very basic questions, which are just common knowledge. And as he guessed it, Ford couldn't answer these questions. And so he gets frustrated and Ford says to him, if I press any of these buttons right here, he shows him these buttons and he tells him, I can call any man at my will, because he's rich and he has money, to answer these very basic questions that you're answering, that you're asking me. And so the Chicago lawyer gets very embarrassed at this point. And so this brings me to my second tip, which is surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. And in this case, this is exactly what Ford did. He didn't have all of the answers. He didn't spend the time, as he put it, memorizing common generic knowledge into his head. Instead, he surrounded himself with people that were way smarter than he was, even though he was a very smart person. In a recent study that was done, they showed that even when it comes to something as simple as obesity, if you have at least 2 to 3 connections, if the person you know is 2 to 3 connections away from a person that is obese, then that can affect your own lifestyle and your own chances of being obese. And so even with our health and lifestyle, we can see that the people that we interact with influence the way that we live our life. For me, when I first got into grad school, the first thing I did in the first day of classes is I would intentionally search for at least 2 or 3 people that looked smart or that were raising their hands and answer all the questions correctly, and I would intentionally take their phone numbers and make friends with them. So when it came to doing homework, studying for exams, or any of that, all I had to do was 10 text messages, or even, you know, talking about our days and seeing how motivated they are, you know, to get their work done and to earn an A in their class, and having that, you know, goal of, yeah, I want to earn an A. Being around them, just their energy alone, their work ethic was enough for me to motivate me to do better on my own. A lot of times we're afraid to make friends with these smart people, and we shy away. Again, that shame of, you know, I don't want this person to figure out that I don't have everything figured out. But that smart person is actually, you know, figuring things out too. So surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and you'll pick up their skill sets, their habits, whatever it is, their study habits, and that will elevate your life as well. So make friends with people that are smarter than you, and take it from Henry Ford as well. And so I will wrap up this video by giving you a quote from Dale Carnegie, which says that a person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language. And so what this speaks to us is we're always surrounded by people, and whether we're working with our classmates or our professor or whoever that person is, we're always around people. And though we care about the homework assignment or the project or the exam, at the end of the day, you are working with people. And so Theodore Roosevelt once said something along the lines of this. He says that a person does not care what you have to say, what you have to offer, until they know that you care about them. So if someone's name is the sweetest sound in any language, that is the bare minimum that you have to know about this person. I think the best example of this, and the easiest one that I've seen over and over again, during grocery store checkout moments, when I ask the cashier, hi, what's your name, by the way? Or they'll be wearing a name tag, and I'll be like, okay, how do you pronounce your name? And then I'll say, Daniel. And then I'll say, thank you, Daniel, for today, for checking me out. And I'll say something as small as that, and you can see their face light up. Or when you take a moment to learn how to pronounce someone's name, even my own name, you know what I mean? When people actually pronounce it correctly, my heart melts just a little bit, and I feel like they know me on a deeper sense. But the easiest way that you can experiment and just try this on is going to a grocery store, and after the person checks you out, just say, thank you so much, read their name tag, or if you can't pronounce it, ask them how to pronounce their name, and just see it and see their face light up. And so what this last tip essentially gets at is, while you are working towards that homework assignment, test, goal, whatever that goal is, genuinely care about the people around you, and you can do that simply by remembering their name. So this brings me to the end of my video. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe as well. And until next time, y'all, I pray that you continue to have a blessed day today, and I am out.